Te reo ererangi o te mānia. This episode was produced in Otatahi by Plains Media, with support from New Zealand On Air.
This is Simply Nourish, empowering women through menopause and beyond. I am your host, Brenda Bickerstaff. Join me and my guests for an inspiring conversation about how they survived and thrived during this important new chapter of life. Today's conversation is about something that sits just outside many women's comfort zones, but it holds the potential to change everything: solo travel. Because at this stage of life, there's often a quiet shift. The role we've played for so long begins to evolve, and there can be this little voice that says, "What about me now?" For some women, that voice whispers about adventure, about freedom, about seeing the world not as part of a group, but as an individual again. But alongside that, there can be fear, doubt, questions like, am I too old? Is it safe? Could I actually do this on my own? And that's exactly what we're diving into today. I'm joined by Gina Cambridge from Wanderlust Solo Women Tours, who supports women to step into travel with confidence, connection, and a real sense of purpose. Gina, I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Brenda. It's really, really exciting to be here.
Yay. Just to get started, I'm going to throw you a few quick fire questions.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And just first thing that pops into your head, we can obviously go back and address some of them a bit later. So, a window or an aisle seat?
Window.
Mountains or beach?
Mountains and beach. Beach with a mountain view.
Perfect. Early morning explorer or slow morning travellers?
Slow morning travels.
Nice. Your favourite destination so far?
I don't have one because they are all so unique. Each one has its own special thing. So I can't tell you my favourite one. I have highlights, so Southeast Asia is my go-to, but every place I've gone has had its own highlight or favourite thing.
There. Dream destination is still on the list?
Oh, India. I'm supposed to be going this August, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And also Nepal and Tibet.
Nice. Actually, I'll just note that down, Nepal. What's one item you always pack?
BB cream, the moisturiser cream.
Okay. Most memorable meal when travelling?
Oh, gosh. I ask people this and it's so hard because sometimes they're the most simple ones. And one of them would be just a real simple Thai dish on a beach cooked by somebody local in a little warong or beach cafe or something, somewhere not flash, but from local produce. So I can't particular one in particular, but yeah, that would be something that I'd really love.
I'm going to just jump in here. I was in Vietnam not long ago, and one of the best places we ate was actually one of the street food vendors, but they had a Michelin star. It's crazy. Yeah. It was dirt cheap, amazing food. The flavour's outstanding, but you wouldn't expect that it was a Michelin star. Phenomenal. Great experience. Solo travel or group travel? What's your pick?
Both.
Okay.
Because I'm an advocate for both because they both serve a purpose.
Okay. And biggest travel mishap?
Which one? One of them that comes straight to mind is I was in Thailand and I'd taken a ferry from down the coast out to one of the islands, and I booked a ferry to go back, and I had to get back up to Bangkok, and it was like a 5-hour train ride. But I didn't realise the ferry I booked back was a different company than the one I went on. So their port was an hour out of the town where I needed to catch the train. So it was a mad dash to try and find because if I didn't, then I was going to have to sleep in this town overnight, there was nothing there. Anyway, couldn't find any transport. I was trying to get my bag off the bus because the guy was loading my bag. And this lady, Thai lady, overheard me and she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I need to get to the train station." She said, "Well, we'll take you." So I hopped in the van with them, didn't ask, just hopped in the van. We were driving and she said, "Where are you going by train?" I said, "Bangkok." And she said, "We won't make the train station in time." And I was like, oh. She said, "Look, I'm going to Bangkok. You can come with us." So I drove for 5-6 hours with this lady and this driver, who I later found out, I thought they were husband and wife, and they weren't. It was just her driver. But he got me there safely to where I was staying and all was well. But yeah, that was just one tip, is make sure that, especially for ferries and stuff, that because they're not always located next to transport hubs.
Yeah. Ended well though, in a great adventure along the way. Sometimes it is the unplanned stuff, isn't it?
And it's just trusting that, you hear of all the bad stories, but sometimes, there are really good people out there that want to help you. So it's just leaning into that.
And I guess most people are good.
Yes, I like to think so.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, just thought I'd drop back and or swing back to, you mentioned Nepal. Yes. Are you, in particular, what about Nepal? Are you excited about?
I've just always been fascinated with that area, so the Tibet and Nepal area, just because of the culture and the history that's there. So it's somewhere personally I've always wanted to go. I read a lot of books when I was young about Tibet especially, and I think because that area is a little bit harder to get to, it's something that's always fascinated me, for me to go personally, yeah.
So let's find a little bit about you now and all these wonderful adventures. So, Gina, tell us what led you into the travel industry.
Yeah, so my journey actually started quite later in life. I know, especially, your listeners know of the OE, where Kiwis go off and do their overseas adventure when they come out of high school or out of university. I didn't do that. All my friends did. I just buckled down and, I got a house and got a business and did all those things. And so I missed out that. So I ended up doing it for my 40th. So that's a bit back to front. So I left when I was 39 and did my backpacking around Europe and other countries. So that took about 8 months of my life, and it was amazing. That came out of quite a bad relationship situation, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners can relate to. I'd come out of a relationship. I was unsure. I'd had a business and just things weren't gelling anymore. So luckily I had dual citizenship with the UK. So I packed up and downsized. My mum was great. She looked after the smaller house because I had dog. You still have responsibilities. So I had to still sort all that, and went backpacking. And it was, for me, the most transformative experience I've ever had. Not just what I saw, but personally, how it rebuilt my confidence and self-esteem, which is the main thing. And then that was the seed for wanting to create my business, because I wanted to share that with other women. So I came back in 2012. So it took a few years to incubate. And from that period, during that, I went on a lot of solo adventures. I'd go off for 5 weeks, 2 months at a time overseas. So it was sort of really around 2019 that I created my business, Wanderlust Solo Women Tours, which sort of wasn't the best timing.
I was just going to say, international travel, end of 2019.
So that was interesting. So I did my first 2 trips to Bali, which was amazing, and then obviously couldn't. But what it did do, it brought me back to concentrating to New Zealand, and I did small escape weekends. And because we couldn't travel, it took off for me. So they went really, really well. I was doing 1 a month just about during that period, because we are adventurers, Kiwis. We want to explore and we want connection. So in a way, it was actually a good thing to for me that I created that community, because that's what the basis of all this is actually creating a community. And the travel is the icing on the cake that makes it all come together. So, yeah, and that's what I did. And then once, we could travel again, I kicked back up and obviously back to Bali, and then was able to do Cuba as well. It's been hard, but it's a test of resilience. And I was talking to another woman who's in a similar industry, and it just shows when something's coming from a good place, like it's from your heart, and that passion's still there, even though you go through all these difficulties, but you still want to provide that service. I think it's a really good testament to, what you want to share.
What made you at the age of 40 decide, you explained you went through your difficult relationship, came out the other end. What was it about travel? Was there some past desire that was just sitting in your gut, or was it like, what the hell, I'm just going to go out and see the world now?
A bit of both. For every person that's going through something, it's going to be unique to you. For me, I'd always had as a child a fascination with the world. I'm showing my age, where I'd read encyclopedias and, books like that with great pictures of, ancient Egypt and places like that. So I'd always had that fascination. And my mum always actually wanted me to be an air hostess, because back then that's how you saw the world. So, yes, I suppose that was ingrained, but I think I was in a small town, and with all the stuff that was going on, I couldn't see an escape. So literally by going to the extreme of literally going thousands of miles, it was an escape, but it was also a way to reboot myself. And I couldn't see me doing that by staying where I was. So that's what I encourage women to do. Sometimes you do need to get out of your comfort zone in whatever form it is and step outside it, so you not only can, get breathing space, but also reflect and get perspective. And that's what it was for me.
The word wanderlust.
Yes.
And listeners, I must admit, when I first saw the name of her company, my mind went somewhere else with the lust part. So can you explain to us how you came up with the name of your company and sort of what it means to you, please?
Yeah, so it is quite funny, because it is derived from the German Wanderlust, which is the W-O you quite often see. So, but for me, it's wander as in wandering around the block or wandering down the road. And it means, a desire to see and travel. And it's just a word I've loved. I just love the word. So that's where, and when I say solo women, it's Wanderlust Solo Women Tours, because solo doesn't mean you have to be single. Solo in this context means there's a lot of women out there that their partners aren't interested in doing travel or going anywhere, or your friends you might not be able to corral them into going at the same time, or, your dates don't align. So it just means you want to go, you have the desire to go. So this is a platform to make that happen for you.
And you're travelling with like-minded women.
Exactly, yes.
Nice. And did you have any fears or hesitations right at the beginning when you were setting this up?
I think any entrepreneur, when they're doing something from scratch, there's a lot of apprehensions, and it is hard. It's hard to be seen. I think that's the other thing when you work so hard. And I have had this conversation with a lot of other people, especially when you are doing stuff on social media and that, and you hear crickets. It might not mean that your idea is no good. It's just not getting seen by the right people. So, yeah, because there's a lot of back-end stuff that goes into creating any business, the logistical boring stuff, insurances and waivers and legal documents and all, your website and God knows what else. There's words I didn't even knew exist that I found out about. So, but again, it comes back to that heart-led desire that I had, which still hasn't waned. And I just think anyone who's wanting to do it is just keep your eye on that and that goal. So yes, there were fears and worries, but I just had an eye on the end goal and what I wanted to create.
I certainly can empathise exactly with what you're saying, because as a new entrepreneur stepping out into the world of menopausal health, in a world where we have so much access to put our name out, it's so hard to do because there's, like you said, there's so much noise there. And, you know, we're both coming from the same place of heart. So it's like you really want to let people know you're genuine.
Yes, and I think that's even more important now when you don't know what's real out there. I think really connecting with your clients or your audience is super important, and still sticking to your ethics. I mean, I still really use that instinct and stick to my ethics, you know, even though people might be doing that. I'm like, no, I still want to show up as me and be the person that you're connecting with.
How has travel now shaped you?
Hugely. Again, that's sort of why I want to share it with people. It's for me, it totally rebuilt who I was. You know, I was quite a shy person. I'd come through some pretty rough relationships, and that can really knock you about. So when I started traveling, and so we have constraints we put on ourselves and from society. So when I started traveling and meeting people, because I did stay in hostels and I did do things like work away and woofing, which I can elaborate on, but I found a whole new community. Like, these people didn't care how old I was. They didn't care of my background. They didn't care about my education or what I did. There was just a common thing that we were traveling and wanting new experiences. And that was life-changing for me. And just talking to people from different aspects of life, it gives you a different perspective, a worldview, empathy, built my confidence because I had to go and do stuff I had never done before. You know, like one of my first jobs to pay my way in the UK, I worked as a live-in carer. I'd never even changed a baby's nappy in my life. And here I was looking after this woman with MS, and you realize how capable you are. And even in travel, just navigating train stations and foreign transport, and I did it, you know. And this is what I keep telling women, you know, you're raising families, you're holding businesses together, you're holding the household together, you're already capable. You just need to transfer those skills.
And now tell me, woofing, what does woofing mean?
Willing workers on organic farms.
Okay.
So there's lots of alternative. So this is one thing I'm an advocate for, because, okay, we can say, go off traveling and do this and do that, but what about your finances?
Yeah.
You know, not everyone has thousands of dollars sitting in their bank account to go and do something. So for me, there was a lot of planning and a lot of thinking outside of the box of how I could facilitate this journey. So for me, I did things like woofing and work away, where you stay somewhere and you do a few hours work a day in exchange for staying there and food and everything. And for me personally, I had incredible experiences. I woofed in Wales on a country estate, which was incredible. The family was amazing. Again, learnt new skills in the garden. I've done work away in Italy on an estate. I've done it in Morocco on a sheep farm. Again, I learned all these new skills, and it opens your mind to amazing opportunities. So sometimes you do need, so that's how I facilitated it. I tried to think outside the box, and in a way, in hindsight, I'm quite happy I did that, because if I had a lot of money to go and stay in different nicer places and resorts, I probably wouldn't have had those experiences.
Yeah. And that's it. Sometimes we just miss the real, literally back to the earth, those experiences where you learn so much more than sitting or staying in a 4 or 5 star hotel and doing all the touristy things.
Yeah, and it does come back to slow travel too, where And it is hard. It depends on how much time. But if you have like 3 weeks, you do have the opportunity to slow travel. And that means being more mindful on the destination you're picking and spending more in-depth time there rather than a day here and a day there and 2 nights here. And you don't really get to see anything or experience it.
Midlife isn't about slowing down. It's about your comeback. At Simply Nourish, we fuel your energy, build your strength, and help you thrive through the menopause transition. Forget quick fixes. This is about real change, backed by science and led with heart. Join a community of vibrant women rewriting what's possible. Simply Nourish, stronger, wiser, and just getting started. So we've talked a little bit about your background, and now let's just talk about coaching. So you're a travel coach. What exactly is a travel coach?
Yeah, so it's quite a new term. It's getting a bit more traction now. So again, it was a bit, I do things very back to front. So like even during the pandemic, I did tourism training. I did a retreat training course. And then coming out of that, I was scrolling through my feed and I was always already giving something to my clients, but it wasn't in a format. And then I came across this American woman who's an ICF accredited business through Travel Coach Network. And I was like, and everything they were talking about really resonated with me. So I did my training with them, and it's not a travel advisor or a travel agent. This is more like, I like to call myself your wing woman.
Nice.
So this is really for the people that are either suffering from overwhelm of planning a trip, or just don't know where to start, or want something a bit deeper. So every travel coach has their own niche, obviously, of what they facilitate. So for me, it's diving into what you really want out of your trip. And I was having a conversation the other day with someone, and it's really important because this is one thing we don't think about, is how you want to feel on that trip. So we want to tick this off and do that, but how do you actually want to feel? And that's something we don't think about. So it's leaning into that and then giving you the resources of how to facilitate that. So I'm very much into purposeful and conscious travel. So looking at smaller boutique accommodation providers that are locally owned guides and businesses. So you're not only having a great travel experience, but you're also giving back to the local communities is really, really important. And that takes a little bit of research. And I think a lot of people just feel really overwhelmed with the whole idea of planning a trip away. And especially if you're busy, So I'm your wing woman to help you not only plan your trip, give you ideas, and then you can take them away and use them how you want, but building an itinerary that's more purposeful and gives you a real insight into how you want to feel during and after that trip.
How do you get that out of a woman when you're planning the trip? How do you get them to draw out what they want to feel?
Having a conversation. So hey, rather than, and travel agents, FYI, have a really good place in planning your trip. So, but for me, a travel agent's not going to ask you deeper questions. So it is a bit like a life coach in that sense. I'm going to ask you more things and more questions about you. So it's through conversation and me learning about you that I get a bigger picture of what it is you really want. Because there's no point in, if you're going through some trauma and you want healing space, going and booking a location that's close to a party area or as a party resort where you just want, rest and relaxation, or booking, you might see a place that's got an amazing pool and beautiful grounds, but they're out in the middle of the nowhere, and then you've got to travel every day to go and do things. So it's just looking at those little things and piecing together a better journey for you.
What I don't know if I want to use the word type, but what type of woman do you attract into your business?
So mainly they are the 50 plus at the moment. I'd say
Nice.
I range from 35 to 65 for my trips, and saying that, I'm inclusive of any age. I have no age limits. I hate putting age limits because I get that a lot. People go, oh, I'm worried I'm too old. And I feel really sad people even have to ask that question, because I've had 70-year-olds and 23-year-olds. And as long as you're coming together with the same mindset, and you can learn so much off each other, and I think it's wonderful, like that intergenerational connection is amazing. So my women that come to me for help are mainly those that are really busy. They are nervous and they are really apprehensive about going solo. They might have actually traveled with their family, but this is their first time they've gone by themselves. And it's a mind shift for them because they've had that security of going with family or friends, and now it's by themselves. That confidence leaves them, and it's those women that I tend to help more.
It is that sort of, that it seems like a universal feeling, isn't it? You hit 50, your life's sort of changing. You might have had children, they're leaving home, they've established themselves. Your relationship may be rocky or maybe uncertain. And because you've been sort of wearing the cape, the hero cape for everyone, suddenly you need it for yourself. And it's like, I don't know where to start. I don't know much about what I want, or I'm scared to
100%.
wanting it.
Yeah, there's a lot of guilt also about putting yourself first, and say even going on a trip in the first place and planning something for yourself. A lot of women feel a lot of guilt, which is sad because I had someone use this term that, when you're in a plane, they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first and then take care of others. And it's the same thing. If you're running on empty, you're not serving anyone else. So taking away that guilt is a really important step in not feeling guilty about doing something for yourself.
And when we talk about solo travel, and you mentioned it before, you can be a solo person going on a solo trip, or you can be the solo woman joining a group of like-minded solo women. So what is the magic in that? You mentioned the intergenerational connection. What else does that bring into someone's life?
I think community. We're really missing community. So I think that feeling that other people are going through the same stuff as you and have the same fears and apprehensions, and they might be from different walks of life and everything, but, at the root of everything, we're all very similar. So I think why I said earlier about I like solo and group travel, because I think they both have a purpose. Quite often, even now, I'll go solo somewhere. I'll join a group trip, especially and it's a destination I haven't been before. And then I'll have free time at the end by myself again. Then if I want to go back to that country, I feel more confident doing it solo. And I think whether you're in a group or 100% solo, you're still taking that journey by yourself, even if you're joining a group. So it's your personal solo journey. And the importance, I think, doing it in a group, it gives you a sense of security, like I said, community and friendship. And that's the other thing really important that I love to build is friendships.
One of the things that sort of always, deterred me from going on any sort of group tours is the fact I am, stuck with an itinerary. I'm stuck with those people, especially if I'm not into those people. And you're up at 8, you're doing this, you're doing that, and there is none of that your time.
Yeah.
I love the idea that you're doing it because, like you said, you get to know a country, but
you got to pick the right one.
Yeah. And that's where you come in, isn't it?
Yeah. It's really important. Whether you come with me or I help you pick, like I did for a lady in America recently, she reached out and she loves hiking. She loves bird watching. She's traveled with friends before, but she has never done it by herself. And she really wanted to go to a country where she could combine her love of bird watching and hiking, but not get up at 6:30 in the morning and not necessarily be with the group all the time.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example. So we looked at different options of her doing a mix of both. So she has her free time, then joins a hiking group, then has her free time. And I think when you're researching any group tour, like obviously if it's for women, if you feel comfortable, you can join. Like there's a lot of companies that do mixed groups, which is fine. And if you're comfortable with that, go and do that. If you feel like you just want to be with women, search women only tours. Look for the small groups. Small groups will have better connections with each other, and obviously you'll be able to interact with your guide more. It will be a bit more spontaneous with different things. So I recommend anything under 16 people.
Yeah.
Because once you get over that, it's real. Everyone goes off in cliques, and like you said, it's hard to make friends. And if you're really uncomfortable, spend that little bit of extra money. Look for tours that don't have single supplements, but book a private room. If you're happy sharing and saving the costs with another solo traveller, and I do it quite often, and I've met some of my best friends that way. But if you're not comfortable, book a private room. But do your research and find something that really fits. Like you said, you don't want to get up at 6:30 if that's not your thing. So look for tours that have free days as well.
Mm. And what are some of the destinations that really stand out or are the most popular with your clients?
For me personally, Bali is an easy sell. Everyone's still interested in Bali. It is saturated, I've got to say. But I like to share a real authentic experience. So again, if you're researching Bali, just make sure you connect with local providers so the money's going back into the community. But I think Southeast Asia in general, especially for us down here in Australia and New Zealand, are still really popular destinations. Vietnam, I went personally to Vietnam in December, loved it. Thailand is one of my favourite countries, and they're really accessible from New Zealand. That's the other thing, is getting from A to B, because you don't want to be absolutely exhausted. So I recommend anyone starting out maybe travels a little bit closer to home, or you have a direct flight to that destination. So definitely Southeast Asia are the top ones for us.
And when you talk about Bali, you're not talking about tours to Kuta Beach or anything?
No.
We've moved past there, eh?
Or Canggu.
Yeah.
No.
They're not looking that nice at the moment either.
Oh,
just on the side note.
It's interesting. I had no interest in going to Bali years ago. It wasn't, I found it, from what I had seen, it was way too tourist. And the same thing with Thailand, actually. It was way too touristy. It didn't really, I didn't see any benefit in going. I had a friend I met traveling actually in Thailand. She ended up marrying an Indonesian man. They were living in Bali, so I went and stayed with them. So that's how my connection with Bali started, is because I was staying with a local person. And it opened my eyes to a different side of Bali. So that's what I want to share, because what makes Bali special for me and what I want to share is actually the people. They're amazing. And it doesn't matter where you go. If you're kind and respectful, you'll get that back. And that's in any country. And you'll see a different side of the country that way.
Absolutely so true. And I think a lot of tourists give other tourists a bad rap just because of their behaviour and almost like their entitlement. Just that whole disrespect, isn't it?
And Bali's a really good example of that happening, unfortunately.
Yeah. And are there any standout or transformational stories that you have from some of your tours?
Yeah, there have been some amazing ones. I do get a lot of women that come along that have, there's two things, that have either come through major health issues, especially cancer, or have lost a loved one. And sometimes they're coming along and they don't realise the power of what's going to happen on the journey they're taking, because again, they're stepping away from all that stuff and into this different space. And it's those, and it can be really simple moments where all of a sudden they're allowed to be themselves and just let go. And it can be really emotional. I don't hold space. My retreats aren't spiritual retreats or wellness retreats, but I do like to think they give a safe space for women to just breathe and be themselves. And there's one woman that actually came on a local one. She'd gone through a real, very traumatic separation. She lived in Auckland and had also been attacked while walking home one night. So she was just in a very bad space, was really conscious of the dark. There was a lot of things going on. And she came on retreat just locally here in New Zealand. And I got the loveliest message back from her. And she's since traveled. She's gone over to Melbourne and she's doing things because, she started to overcome that fear. And I think just taking that small step, it was so powerful, and I really loved that story.
And it's that whole sense of, finding yourself and stepping forward, isn't it, in life?
100%. And there's so many women that I have conversations with that have lost partners, or their partner's just not interested anymore, or they find themselves alone. Their kids have gone and they've lost sense of self. And they don't know who they are. Who they are anymore. So it's giving that space to reconnect, even with creativity. Like I do pottery and jewelry making, because a lot of them were creative when they were younger, but life got busy and they forgot that side. So it's bringing out that inner child, I suppose, in a way, and giving space for that so they can explore and just be themselves, because that's what it strips away. It gives that space for you to peels away all those layers and takes you back to who you are.
Yeah, because we do lose our sense of identity, don't we?
100%, yeah.
Because we take on every other person's persona and whatnot, or just being everything, back to the whole cape thing again.
Yeah, wearing a lot of hats. We are, as women, whether you have children or not, even at the age we are now, we end up looking after our parents also. That's a huge responsibility. So we're wearing a lot of hats, and very rarely do we put ourselves first and put our interests first. I mean, some women do, and kudos to them. But it's just giving that space and time for you to realize what is important to you, and to see then, I had another woman that came along and she was a nurse and she got king hit and had a head injury. So she was recovering from that. And we went and did a sound journey, which is where they do the bowls and stuff. And she'd never done anything like that. It's a bit woo-woo. But she found it amazing for her. So she went on to do that. So it's giving that space to try all these little things that you might not have felt safe to do otherwise. And you can either like it and go, that's amazing, I'm going to keep doing that, or go, nah, that's not for me, I'm never going to do it again.
And so would you say the biggest reasons women are nervous about travelling later in life, and since this is based on menopause, often when we're in post-menopause stage of life, is the uncertainty of who they are?
Yeah, I think lack of confidence isn't, I think that comes with menopause, unfortunately. Another shitty side thing of menopause is that lack of confidence and second guessing yourself all the time. So definitely, fear of the unknown as well, and fear that you're not of value anymore is another one. Like there's so many vibrant 50-plus women out there, and you have more years to give. Many more. You can restart. You can actually restart your life altogether. You've now got freedom to do that, So that's that thing of reconnecting and finding it. What is your passion and what is your joy? And using that time, even though you're going through all this stuff, but it's a great time of rediscovery.
You're speaking my language. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you've touched on a little bit about safety and women's concerns about, solo travel. What is real and what is perceived?
Yeah. So safety is one of it. And I think most of your listeners probably would have had this said to them sometime in their life is, Aren't you scared to go there? Aren't you scared to go there alone? Are you worried about going there alone? One, why is that pushed on women? Firstly, like why are we asked, why are you there alone? And it's that being alone, there's something wrong with being alone. Okay, you're having dinner alone. And so it's that fear, those fears, and then fear that some foreign country is more dangerous than where you are. Yes, obviously, some places are more dangerous, but your common sense is the best tool in your kit is your common sense and your women's intuition. So just follow that. And I've actually felt safer in some foreign countries than I do at home. So I think just being really practical, using your intuition and your gut instinct is the best thing you can do. If something feels wrong, remove yourself. And that doesn't matter where you are in the world. But don't let fear hold you back, because you'll never go anywhere. And the world will open up once you step out of that zone and you realise that you are overcoming those fears.
At BBG Built, we're straight talking builders who know the value of comfort, warmth and smart design. Whether you're planning a renovation or something new, we make the process simple and stress-free. Let's help you plan well and build better. Visit www.bbgbuilt.co.nz to get started.
So you're talking about the fear, and let's talk about also the mind shift. How do we shift our mind, make this growth mindset happen, that we can overcome the idea of fear or what people are telling us, what we've been told for decades as being a woman?
Everybody's going to be different, and I only can give my perspective and view, because it's what works for you, and what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else. But I think taking baby steps, if you have never done anything like this before, like as far as solo travel is concerned, start really, really small. Go out for lunch by yourself and be comfortable in it. Observe people. Don't people watch, but really observe people around you. Go out for dinner by yourself. Do the same. See how long you can stay off your phone while you're at dinner or lunch. That's a hard one. Go, like, even just this past weekend, they had an antique and bottle fair, so I took myself off to that. Do little things and just start getting comfortable with yourself.
I was just going to say, it's so true. Like, if you do go out for lunch by yourself, I mean, I've never sort of gone out for dinner. I can't think for a long time by myself. But that whole thing is, it's almost like you want your phone there because it's your communication. You're not looking as though you're by yourself.
Hello?
Yeah.
And isn't it weird? Like, why is that being? And then quite often I've had women even say, people come up and go, "Are you okay?" Because they're sitting by themselves. It's like, if we haven't got friends or a partner with us, there's something wrong. So I think even just that simple act of doing that, try something creative. Go to a workshop, a pottery workshop, an art workshop, and see if that ignites anything. And then if you want to step out a little bit further, do a weekend excursion. Join a tour for a weekend. If you're in a foreign country, do a free walking tour. They are amazing. And then step into, if you are feeling brave and want to travel further, book a small group tour that aligns with what you want, and then just keep building from there.
And I'm assuming that there's these little shifts that move our mind from the whole thing of fear to excitement and anticipation.
Yes, exactly. And it's, like I said, even like trying those creative things, it's just moving your brain from I can't to maybe I can.
Yeah.
I think that fear stops us so much. And that fear of, I don't want to use the word failure, but, not succeeding in something is the other thing. So it's just, trying new things. Okay, it might not work out. Go on to the next thing. It's just, it's hard to start, but once you start that momentum and you start working that muscle in your brain, it does become easier.
I tried, I did recently, we have these shows by candlelight in Christchurch in the at the piano, one of our lovely new buildings here. And I knew my partner wouldn't want to go. So it was a big thing. I booked my ticket and I went into town, did the whole thing. It was at night time and it was dark and, but it was great. And it's like, I can absolutely understand what you're saying about that whole thing of doing something like that by yourself. And I still think, what was always holding me back? Why? Why am I afraid? Am I afraid? What am I? Am I being judged that I'm by myself? It's all those other things. So instead of locking myself away at home, get out and explore. Even if, like you say, small, start with something that's happening in your local community.
I think that is the best perfect example, because even, your partner didn't want to do it. How many people are sitting at home and they want to go to a concert or they want to go to a movie, but the other person doesn't want to, so you don't. So you miss out. You don't get to have that experience. So is it guilt? Are you feeling guilt because you're leaving that person at home and they're not including them? Are you feeling guilt because you're going ahead and going and doing that thing without them?
Spending money on myself.
Yeah, and like you said, just being seen alone. Why is that person going by themselves? I got no friends.
Yeah.
But that's all external judgment, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
That we're feeding on. So it's really stepping outside. And like I said, it's like any exercise, you need to use that muscle and keep doing it. So you've done that now.
I've got to keep doing it.
Yeah. So if something comes up again, you'll more than likely feel more confident to go and do it again, don't you?
Yeah. Look, it's not quite the same thing, but my girlfriend and I, we decided, we always liked Robbie Williams, so get the tickets, yeah. And I was telling my husband about it. He goes, oh, I love Robbie. I said, since when? I've never heard you mention this. So he's coming too. But it's like suddenly you find out these things about your partners, like, or are you just wanting to go because I'm going to have a good time without you? Which one is it?
Now you're overanalyzing.
Yeah. Too many voices.
Yeah.
So, is there a right time to start travelling?
No. There's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a right time in your life. There's always going to be something going on. There's never going to be enough money. You're never going to have the time. There's something going on in the world. Now is a great example of that. There's never going to be the right time. So you just have to put a pin in the map and go, I'm going. And make a plan. Because if you can keep making excuses till the cows come home. So even if it's just a small step, okay, next year I plan to go and do this. And then going, how do I make that happen? Okay, so I need X amount of money. Okay, I'm going to set up a little savings fund just for that I put $5 in a week. Then what else? And just start breaking it down into doable. I think that's really important for anyone starting out. Breaking things down into doable, actionable steps and making a plan. And I always do plan things quite a way ahead. Okay, I need someone to feed the dog. I need someone to do this. I've got to do that. And making a list and breaking it down into sections, but start making an actionable plan. And by setting that in stone, it sort of motivates you to make it happen.
So what would it look like if I came to you and let's say I wanted to go to somewhere in Indonesia?
Yes.
What does that look like? It's me, and I've got, what would you say would be a fair dollar value? So if I had, $5,000?
Well, firstly, I'd want to ask you, what is it you want? Do you want to see like history and culture, or do you want to get into the beach vibes or spa treatments? And so I'd really want to know what it is you want, because they're quite different experiences.
Okay, I wanted to go and stay at a lovely place, but I don't want it to be ostentatious. I want it to overlook rice paddies or jungle views, being a bit out of town. I want it to be self-sufficient, so I want that for, say, maybe 4 nights, and either side of that, do little tours.
Yeah. So I'd say even central Ubud, outside in one of the villages, if it's in Bali. Java is actually another really, really interesting island in Indonesia that a lot of people don't explore as much. That's where I want to go next, because there's side going here, but there's an amazing temple there, the ancient temple I want to see, but even Lombok. But say Bali is great because it's easy to get in and out of. You'd locate yourself in a small village in central Bali, which Ubud, around that district, but out, because that is a great vantage point to do day trips, because it's closer, and the traffic in Bali is mental. You can literally spend hours in it going 20 k's distance.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I recommend. So I'd be booking you a beautiful eco resort that is locally run, that has amazing staff, has its own chef, has its own spa centre there, and where you can go and do day trips with a local driver to some of the temples, and also the East Coast, which has some of the lovely beaches up north.
Is that where all the big surf beaches are?
That's on the other side. So you've got Kuta, Seminyak, Canggu, so there's lots of surfing up that. The East Coast is more where they do a lot of diving, it's a bit rockier. Yeah,
okay. That sounds great. I want to sign up. I better start saving now.
But $5,000, 100% you could do. So I used to budget about $5,000 per trip. So if this is including your flights also, from New Zealand direct, you're looking about $1,500 with Air New Zealand. No plugs there, but it's an easy flight. It's direct, so you want ease of travel. Accommodation is so amazing there. You can get 5-star accommodation at a really, really good price. Food is a great price, and really it's just your spending, like how much you want to buy and stuff is all the add-on. So you could have an amazing trip for $5,000.
So what would you say to a woman listening right now who is thinking, I wish I could do that, but?
I wish I could do that, but you can do that.
Perfect.
You certainly can do it. Okay, you might need some help. Like I said, just even talking to someone like myself. Like I always do like clarity calls, which are totally free. And it's just to have a conversation like we're having, and then it's totally up to them where they take it. But even just that initial talking to someone, I think even just in life, it really helps to articulate to someone what it is you want. So I even think just taking that small step of talking to someone, going, hey, I'm going through this. I feel like I need some time away. I've got 2 weeks, or I've got a week. I've only got this much amount of money. What is it I can do, or what do you recommend? And go from there. But join women travel groups. There's a ton on Facebook. There's some really neat ones. There's a lot of great community stuff going on. There's things like host a sister and her house. When you're traveling, you can stay with another vetted woman traveler, which is a great way to connect with locals. So there's lots of ways, and that's, I think, where Travel Advisor or a travel coach can help you get those ideas as well.
So if you're going to start somewhere in New Zealand, what would be, I'm Christchurch based. Where would I be? Where would be somewhere you'd recommend I would adventure to?
I really liked Glenorchy.
Oh, yes. So do
I had a great time in Glenorchy. Took ourselves there, booked a little cabin. There's the horse riding. The local pub had the rugby on. It was great for connecting with locals. There's the beautiful walks there. So look around your local communities and see what great walks are on, if there's any small events, and book a night. And who knows where it might lead.
Is that sort of stuff you would organise as well? If somebody went to you and said, hey, I want to go and spend a couple of nights in Glenorchy, can you sort something out, suss it out for me?
I can put an itinerary together and give ideas, but it's up to the person to book, because I'm not a travel agent. That's the difference.
Perfect. So where can people find you?
So they can find me everywhere on Wanderlust Solo Women Tours. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram and on the website. And I've got the podcast, Wanderlust Solo Women Travel Unscripted. And you can always reach out to me. I'm happy to chat about any travel opportunities you might be wanting to have.
I'm sure you've got some amazing stories and advice to give. So I will also make sure those links are put up on my socials as well. So just any upcoming tours or opportunities you can think of off the top of your head now that
I'm just going to hopefully launch another Bali retreat because I had a lot of people on the wait list for October. I'm just waiting to see where that's going. But for 2027, we've definitely got Bali in May, we've got Cambodia in October, and hopefully Thailand in November. So they're really exciting ones for next year, which I will be releasing really soon. So make sure if anyone wants to know to get on the mailing list.
Fabulous. And your final takeaway message, please, Gina.
Just get out there and do it. It's never too late to rediscover yourself.
What I've loved about this conversation is that it's not really just about travel. It's like permission to take up space in your own life again, permission to feel curious, adventurous, even a little bit brave. At Simply Nourish, we talk about nourish, strength, move and restore. And today feels like such a beautiful reminder that movement isn't just about our bodies, it's about how we move through life. And strength isn't just physical, it's in the decisions we make, the risks we take, and the moments that we choose ourselves. So if you're listening today, and there's even the smallest part of you thinking, maybe one day, take that as your sign. It doesn't have to be big, as Gina said, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it could be the beginning of something really special for you. Gina, thank you so much for sharing your story and your work with us. I found it incredibly inspiring. I'm going home to look up some where I'm going to get you to book me into next. Thank you everyone who's been listening, and thank you for being here. And we look forward to catching up with everyone again later. Thank you again. You've been listening to Simply Nourish, empowering women through menopause and beyond. With me, Brenda Bickerstaff. I'm a certified, registered and an experienced nutritionist and menopause coach. I'm passionate about supporting women to thrive during menopause with personally tailored science-backed nutrition and lifestyle strategies. You can find more information at simplynourish.co.nz. We will have a new episode for you on the second Sunday of every month at 5 p.m. on Plains Media. So mark your calendar and tune into 96.9 FM and plains.org.nz or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcast or YouTube. You can also support Simply Nourish, empowering women through menopause and beyond by leaving a review. Stay up to date with the show on Instagram at Simply Nourish NZ and Facebook at Simply Nourish, where I also share the latest health information and strategies to support your menopause journey. Brought to you by BBG Built, your builders of choice, and Simply Nourish. Take care, trust yourself, and remember, small steps for big changes.